It's a disaster show today. I've got a beautiful tutorial about blind hemming, and it's perfect and it's easy, but it's not real life. What happens when it all goes wrong? And we've got solutions for them. So let's have a look at some real life situations. Here we go. Blind hemming along, thinking all is well, and just wait for it because we're doing the right things. We're catching that fold with our right needle and we keep going along. And hang on a second, do you see that little red thing in there? I've gone over a needle. Now that's not good for your machine and it's not good for your sewing. Pulled it out, got the machine running. It's pretty easy, I thought, kept going. Off we go, la la la, and hang on, wait for it again. There you go. It was a disaster day. That's the nut that comes and screws in the left needle. Anyway, I just sort of put that back in with my fingernail. I'd just been doing quite a lot of sewing and it came loose and it flew out. So this is a real disaster reel. No worries. Put it back in. Just using my fingernail. And I think I'm finished now. And let's go and inspect this. Oh, what do you know? I've missed a bit of that fold. It's just a small amount. So let's keep inspecting. Hang on a minute. What? This is nuts. This is just like it did not work whatsoever. Hang on a minute. Do you remember when I ran over a needle? Okay, well, that's what happened. So let's get to the fixes. We're going to put a pin into all of the hem so that I don't have to do that again. So if I unpicked and then just lost my hem turn up, I'd have to do it all again. So let's put those pins back in and let's unpick all of the offending area where it just did not work. Oh, poor machine, you know. I did run over one of my pins, so what can you expect? Pull it all out. It's no magic deal for how you unpick this because it hasn't actually threaded and stitched properly. So do the best you can just to get all that out. I won't go through it in excruciating detail for you. You will have to clean up all of those threads at the end. I found that separating the fold from the hem bit and just slicing through also helped. By the way, at the end of this, I'm going to show you how to unpick blind hemming, like when it stitches properly, and it's actually pretty easy. Brilliant. Sort of glad I had this error. Anyway, get through your offending stuff before we can actually get to the fix it of this gap, this whole section that just did not sew correctly. We're almost there. Let's take it. Pretend you've cleaned it up. I've cleaned it up. Let's take it back to the machine, get it all set up properly, get that right needle catching the fold this time, and I think we're going to be okay. Okay, so we're just going to do that gap. Now, when I'm filling in a gap, I do go over the first little bit and I do go over the last little bit, so I'm overlapping what exists. This is me just chaining off. And then, of course, I need to keep that neat. So I'm going to pull the chains into the stitching. It's all looking pretty good now. So here I'm going to get my loop turner. And we slide the loop turner along the fold line underneath the stitches, pull it out, wrap around the length of your tail, and then just pull that back through. That's as easy as that. We're going to do it on both ends where there's a chain that we need to tidy up. Time to address that small little gap there. These are far more common when you just sort of go offline a little bit, and so you skip a bit. So again, I'm just going to go in, overlap the first bit, fill that out, but hang on a second. Can you believe it? I did tell you this was a disaster reel, but the number of things that happened. Look, that that pin got stuck into my feed dogs. So the moral of the story, people, is please pin properly and visibly so that you can see where all your pins are. So the next type of correction you might want to do is look at those little vertical lines. And sometimes they're quite long and sometimes they just disappear because you haven't caught the fold in the same alignment. So I'm going to go into there with a hand needle, and you can do this so that you actually simulate those same vertical parallel stitches, which is your blind hem on the right side. You can do that if you're very careful, and it will just fill out that front side of the hem so that it looks like it just kept on going and it didn't go off track. But it will also catch your hem, because if you have just a small spot, it might have been caught just a tiny bit, but not completely. Over time, that will unravel. So this is like a stitch in time. It saves 9. You want to protect your work, so it's easy enough to go in with a hand needle and just fill out the stitches that didn't quite get through both layers. Again, you can make sure that they simulate the same length so that you're also making an aesthetically pleasing job on the front side. Let's have a look. I haven't been doing that aesthetically pleasing thing. I've just been doing a functional fix. But you'll see how far you have to go with that. I need to do it a little bit more, so I'll just let that go. You can see me sewing away. Okay, we can finish off now. I'm just going to tie a couple of knots into the end of my hand sewing. And of course, it being a disaster reel, of course it didn't. It got tangled up here as well. That happens too. Just untangle that, get your second knot in, snip off, and we're almost ready to see how this turned out. So you can see where we overlap. So just here is where we've overlapped. And on the underneath, you can see that we actually have achieved catching everything this time. And the last little bit I want to leave you with is how to unpick actual blind hem that does work. You simply go to the front side and run your quick unpick up the vertical parallel stitches and slice through. It's actually super easy. So let's recap our pragmatic fixes for imperfect blind hemming. Keep your pins on top. Don't put any underneath. You need to be able to see them. And your machine shouldn't be able to grab them and suck them in. That's bad. If you have an error, you can always re-sew. You just overlap the beginning and the end. And lastly, barely caught sections can be hand sewn, including aesthetic corrections. Happy blind hemming and enjoy your comfy life. I'll see you next time.